was a dominant win yesterday. The 26-18 win, the score is a little misleading because you look at their total yards, 434 to 264. All right? 434 to 264 yesterday.
Kicker.
Jake Elliott they held Washington to 93 rushing yards while rushing for 228. That's right. The Eagles ran for 228 yards, 5.7 yards a pop. Now, the red zone walls had some Niner issues, like in the red zone, 1-3 yesterday. But their passing game is coming along here. And Jalen Hurts is making a smart play by getting rid of the football. So yesterday was a dominant win. It would have been a blowout had Jake Elliott made his field goals. But you know what? They're there. They're right there in the mix in the NFC, and they did go to a Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, so they want to get back to that point. Philadelphia is here to stay. They're legit, just like the Detroit Lions. In 707 Comcast Business Text Line said, it's Spadoni. They did pick up Zadarius Smith. He's right.
Yeah.
And it's a downgrade, but it ain't that big of a downgrade. Yeah. And with the way they're flying around the football and how physical they are, they're going to be a problem. They will be a problem, but it leads us back to the 49ers here. The 49ers have yet to play on a level of Philadelphia and Detroit yet. They've yet. What we've seen. We were asking fans yesterday, Spadone, does style points matter at this point, or is it just about winning? Because to me, it's just about winning. Last week was an ugly week in the NFL, but winning games, like I'm looking at Minnesota's post-game locker room speech, and Kevin O'Connell, even though they won 12-7 against Jacksonville, he was so damn fired up about the win because he understands right now is the most difficult part to win. Teams don't want to get eliminated from the playoff chase. Teams don't want to get fired or get their coaches fired. Maybe some do. But players don't. They're playing for jobs for next season. They got to get their stats. They're trying to make their Pro Bowls. They're trying to make all pro teams. So it's hard to win in November and December. It's hard to win. So to me, I don't care how the Niners win on Sunday. Just win a damn football game and improve to 6-4.
Well, and you got to win this game because you start, and I'm not playing the whole schedule game, but it just got me curious because the Lions, 8-1 right now. You said they are on the track to be the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. Eagles are right behind them, and then you got the Vikings at 7-2. I was looking at their schedules, right? So the Lions, I think, could probably have the most favorable schedule just given how their opponents have been playing recently. Got the Jags, they got the Colts, they got the Bears coming up. Pretty favorable, right? Eagles, you like Rams, Ravens, Panthers. Okay, those first two, maybe a little tougher. Panthers playing a little bit better with Bryce Young now. Then you got the Niners, Seahawks, and then you got on the road to Green Bay, on the road in Buffalo. Like, those are going to be the ones that tell a lot about this team. But it starts this week against, I don't know if you can call them your division rivals anymore. I don't even know if the 49ers view them as rivals anymore because you've just owned and dominated them for so long. There's no more Richard Sherman. There's no more Russell Wilson. Geno Smith and Mike McDonald. It's not Pete Carroll and Russ, and right? So it's different. But they're coming off a bye, and their season is on the brink, much like Tampa
desperate.
Bay's last week.
They're desperate.
Yes, I thought Tampa Bay going into that was the more desperate team, and late it felt like, man, could they steal this one after being kind of dominated offensively for most of that game? And the 49ers hung on and ended up getting the win. So I'm looking at this week. Can they get back to a 49er brand of football? Can Christian McCaffrey start to establish that running game more and more? Because let's not get it twisted. At Levi's last year, when Mike McDonald, now head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, was the defensive coordinator for the Baltimore Ravens, they dominated. They got the turnovers, and I know maybe I shouldn't say dominated because Greg Cosell, R95.7 The Game insider, might come down on me because he said the 49ers moved the ball well against the defense of Baltimore last Christmas. But that being said, there were 5 turnovers, and a lot of them, if not all of them, were on the quarterback, Brock Purdy. Yep. So I'm interested to see what Mike McDonald has in store for the second go-around now at Levi Stadium, because I felt like Brock was pretty damn comfortable first go-around up in Seattle on Thursday Night Football.
The first go-around, it was all Niners.
All.
I mean, they went 36-24. It really shouldn't have been that close.
No, they got a little hairy there at the end.
No doubt.
They can't finish games is the problem.
No, they can't finish games. But they're actually, they had the red zone issues again. They were 3-5 in that football game. But they ran the ball well against Seattle. They threw the ball well. Geno has some garbage time stats that he racked up a 300-yard game. But he was 30 of 52, excuse me. And that was probably Nick Bosa's best game of the season. Now, Nick Bosa didn't practice yet this week. And Nick Bosa's banged up. And maybe the snaps are getting to him. The usage rate, as they say. Oh, his snap counting went up. Him and Leonard Floyd, they played more snaps than they ever have before. But that's what's required on this football team with the lack of depth at the edge position. So Can Nick Bosa go? Can you give you 100%? Because that's the key. Nick Bosa set the tone on the first 3 plays of the game the last time they met Seattle. In the run game, in the pass game, forcing incompletions, stuffing the run, containing. Now, how bothersome is this hit for Nick Bosa on Sunday? And obviously bothering him against Tampa Bay. If he's less than 100%, then all of a sudden Geno Smith's a little more comfortable, right? He walks into Levi Stadium knowing that, hey, number 97 is not going to be coming around the edge harassing me as much as he has in the past because he's not 100%. These injuries that are piling up for the 49ers are still a massive, massive concern. So we'll see who's in. We'll see who's out. I know Connor Williams is Seattle Seahawks center. He didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday, but the team listed his absence as non-injury related and personal. So
much like Charvarius Ward, obviously.
Much like Charvarius Ward, he's probably going to not play this. Probably not going to play this Sunday.
And what we know about Charvarius Ward going up against DK Metcalf, right? He likes to shut down certain guys, but that was the thing last game, right? He likes to go up against the number ones on the other team, and Nick Sorensen's like, nah, you're going to move around here, Charvarius. So no Charvarius Ward probably this week. Noah Fant, DNP for the Seahawks. Brady Russell, their tight ends. So 2 of their tight ends already down. And then Leonard Williams, that's the guy you got to worry about. He usually makes plays in these games. He was limited yesterday. So usually if you're limited on Thursday, if you practice again today, you're probably going to play. And then, as you said, Connor Williams, their center DNP. So, yeah, I mean, if there is no Nick Bosa potentially, and it's looking like if he's not going to participate today, that's usually the tell that he's not going to play on Sunday. Now, there are some circumstances. I know Max Crosby, he's a guy that, DNPs a couple times and maybe he plays. But given how important Nick Bosa is just for this team, do you want to force him out there?
Yes, you do. It's a division game. You got to win. You got to win. You got to win.
I paid Leonard Floyd a lot of money, Bonta. Can you step up and be the guy for one game?
You paid him okay. I mean, he's the second guy. And
can he be a 1 though if I need him to be this week? Can he do that?
I don't know.
Paid him like he should be.
I don't know. Well, Nick Bosa is the highest paid defensive player in football.
Yes.
So,
but again, his usage rate, as you said, is exponential.
Well, Leonard Floyd's too. Nick Bosa is getting paid $34 million. All right? Last week, he struggled. Now, Baker was getting the ball out quick, but we all saw the play at the end of the game where Baker didn't get sacked by Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa admitted that it was embarrassing. But Leonard Floyd signed a 2-year, $20 million contract. It's not bad. Not like he's breaking the bank, right?
No, but we all said that he was going to benefit a lot from,
I thought he
from Nick
would.
Bosa. I thought so too.
He's been a disappointment, and maybe it's the scheme. Maybe it's the cloud. Maybe it's the wide night scheme that he doesn't fit in. No, seriously, schemes matter. Fits matter. We're seeing this in basketball. We see it in football. We see it everywhere in sports. Fit matters. If you don't fit, it's going to look bad. Like Javon Hargrave, I don't know if he fits in the wide night system. It hasn't been pretty. Now he's out. But when it comes, to Leonard Floyd and Nick Bosa, you don't have Nick Bosa. All of a sudden, that offense feels a lot more comfortable. 97, even if he's not getting to the quarterback, you have to admit, Nick Bosa has a presence on that defensive line.
Oh, of course.
Offensive coordinator's going to look at Nick Bosa. He's not going to care if he's 75%. He may say, you know what, we're not going to run the ball towards him anyway. We're not going to scheme our passing game. We're not going to throw rollout pass or call rollout passes or play action passes towards number 97, Nick Bosa. Just not going to do it.
So maybe a snap count. Maybe you limit some of the touches.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it's a snap count. Maybe you'll play almost second or third down.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know, but not having Nick Bosa would be a huge, huge loss. I don't even want to envision what it looks like.
Well, right now, as I go on DraftKings, I like to look at the spreads in some of these games, right? Niners are almost a touchdown favorite at home. I don't even know what it opened up as. I think it was 7.5, but now it's down at 6.5.
Well, that's sharp money on Seattle.
Yeah, that's a lot of points, too. And I get it. Like, you hung on the road, coming out of a bye against Tampa. Divisional game. I honestly, though, deep down, Bonta, I just don't think much of the Seahawks because of Geno Smith. I just don't. I even without Nick Bosa, will it be harder? Yes, but I don't respect the Seattle Seahawks as a legitimate force in the NFC at all. In fact, I think they're the 4th worst team in the NFC West. I like the Rams over them, and I know the Rams lost last week to the Miami Dolphins, but I think they got a better quarterback. They got better wide receivers. They got better defensive players. Your boy Jared Verse is the defensive rookie of the year right now. He's doing unbelievable. You see what Kyler Murray's doing. He's an MVP candidate over the Arizona Cardinals. They're balling. Like, I'm sorry. I don't see much of the Seattle Seahawks right now in regards to this division. The 49ers should handle them on Sunday. I know we'll talk to Dick Fan our boy up there in Seattle radio at 920 about it.
Also, some injury news. Some injury news for the Golden State Warriors. DeAnthony Melton has a sprained left ACL and will undergo further test. He will not play tonight against the Memphis Grizzlies. Got some numbers on him. He was playing really, really well, and Steve Kerr has finally settled on a starting five here for the Golden State Warriors. So 888-957-9570 is the number. The Warriors playing the Grizzlies. I know we're feeling good about the Dubs. We'll get into them in a little bit. Niners, Seahawks, what you're feeling on this football game. 615, Spadoni, Comcast Business Text Line saying that Bosa needs to play. If the 49ers lose this game, it could be a possible 0-3 the next 3 games. He needs to play. So,
well, if they're going to lose the next 2 games anyways, like I don't have that kind of mindset, but I don't want to, if he is my lead dog, and we'll pick it up on the other side. Like if it's that serious, I don't want it to get even more so serious.
Well, he's got to play. I mean, well, if it is serious and he doesn't play, then that's even a bigger concern moving forward for Nick Bosa if he does miss a game like this week against Seattle. All right, more coming up here on the Morning Roast. Shout out to YouTube, everybody watching on YouTube or Twitch. Brought to you by First NorCal Credit Union. For a low-rate auto loan, apply online or just ask for First NorCal Finance. You got the dealer and all guests on 95.7 The Game appear on the River Islands guest line. We'll go behind enemy lines with Dick Fed. Maybe we'll get a surprise appearance from his co-host. More on that a little bit later. Is it a time for you to discover the islands, River Islands, and Lathrop? More football talk. 888-957-9570. Niner fans, how are we feeling about Seattle week? Does it hit the same? Does Seattle week hit the same? It feels like it doesn't. Talk about Purdy. Do you believe that Purdy has met expectations this season? What were your expectations for Brock Purdy, number one? And number two, has he met expectations? Well, it was the 925 on the Comcast Business Text line. He asked, here's a question to ask yourself. The way Brock Purdy is playing this year, do you think he's going to get $60 million a year easy? Depending on that answer is if you think he's having a great year or not. Now, I think the Niners will pay him, and I don't know what they're going to pay him, but he's going to get paid a lot of money.
He's going to be the highest paid player in the NFL, probably.
Has Brock Purdy met expectations, or have you been disappointed? I don't know if he's met the expectations because last year was a dream season, but I also haven't been disappointed with this play. I really haven't. There was one game against Kansas City where Steve Spagnuolo befuddled him, and actually 2 games. All right, Minnesota. Yeah. Brian Flores got the best of him.
What did he say after the game? He said the scheme was crazy.
Crazy, but Brian Flores has done that to a lot of people this year. Yeah. He's done that to a lot of teams. A lot of teams. Did it to C.J. Stroud the very next week.
Did it Trevor Lawrence last week.
Right, so, or Mac Jones.
Mac Jones. Yeah.
But Brock Purdy, to me, he's top 5 in passing yards. He's top 5 in yards per attempt or whatnot. I mean, I think he's been solid. So he hasn't disappointed me. Now, has he met the expectations again? Right now, he's number 6 after last night. He's number 6 in passing yards, 2,454, but he's right off of Joe Burrow's pace. Joe Burrow's at 2,672. Purdy's 200-plus yards behind him. Well, Purdy's been number 2 in average yards per attempt, 8.8. Completion percentage is moving up the charts here, 21 right now. Now it's getting better and better. He'll get there. But yards per game, he's number 2 in the league with 272 passing yards. So, you know what? I have not been disappointed with Brock Purdy. Now, have you been disappointed with Brock Purdy? Spadoni.
Disappointed is a strong word. I just have not been, I guess, impressed. That's the word I would come. I haven't been impressed with Brock Purdy this year. And again, it goes back to the bar that he's shown since taking over the starting role as a San Francisco 49ers quarterback. He's been unbelievable. So he's set the bar so high that I'm judging him based on what he did last season. And you know what? It was a dream season, and maybe he never replicates that again in his career. Kind of like what we're seeing, and I'm not comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, but Mahomes has obviously won MVPs. He's got skins on the wall where he can say, you know what? I've already achieved that. I'm already at that Tom Brady portion of my career where I could have some down years statistically, but it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. I've gotten my paycheck. I've gotten my All-Pros. I've gotten my Super Bowl MVP. It's all about trophies now for me. The Super Bowl trophy. That's all that matters at my point. For Brock, though, I do think that in a contract year, not that it's going to change the contract at all, but I have been intrigued with how he has played at times without his weapons. At times he's played well. At times he hasn't. Like early on last week, that first drive he was a little and this has happened a lot throughout the season. Those first couple drives, he's been throwing high. Yeah. He's been missing guys. He's been throwing across his body, missing. It hasn't looked like the Brock of last year. And I keep going back to that, and it's a new season. And the 49ers just have not looked like the team of last year. Now, they lost a lot of pieces. There's no more Eric Armstead. Chase Young's gone. Randy Gregory. They have a reshaped defensive line. No Brandon Ayuk. Right. And then they did have Brandon Ayuk, but it wasn't the good Brandon Ayuk because he was holding out. Deebo Samuel's been injured. George Kittle's been amazing. Like that is the one thing I have been impressed with this season is that connection with Kittle has been on point.
No, it has been on point.
That's been
because Kittle's been available for the most part. Deebo has missed a couple games. He's been nicked up. Don't forget, Deebo left the Kansas City game early. He left the game early due to an injury. He had the ammonia. He suffered. He had to spend a night in the hospital. Ayuk got hurt in that game. He had Ricky Pearsall in his first game. Jacob Cowing's out there. So I think Purdy, I don't know if he's met the expectations, but I certainly haven't been disappointed because he's on pace to throw for another 4,000 yards, and he's on pace to maybe rush for over 500 yards. Right now, he's a guy at 46 carries for 227. He's scrambling a lot more. He's extending plays like he did last week in Tampa in the fourth quarter, hitting George Kittle in the back of the end zone for a complete dime. So I think we got the guy. I've actually been very impressed with Brock Purdy. I have. I think this has been a solid season for him, and I think it's only going to get better. Let's take some calls here before we get to caller of the week. Nick in Berkeley, what's happening? You're on the roast.
What's up, Nick?
Hey, good morning. Hey, man, get off of Brock Purdy, all you haters out there, because you know what? Brock is doing it. And y'all just mad because you got a quarterback like Dak. You feel me? Cowboys, Jerry Bones, just stop it, dude. Turn the team over to your sons. You know what I mean? Like, put in Trey Lance, do what you got to do because the Niners fans are thrilled. We want to know what Trey is doing. You know what I'm saying? Because we like a good laugh now and then. You know what I'm saying? We're not even tripping off nobody, man. We got to come hype. It's Seahawks week, man. You know what I'm saying? We got to come super hyped because we all hate the Seahawks with a special extra passion. You know what I'm saying?
Nick and Berkeley, you still hate the Hawks? Nick and Berkeley, you still hate the Hawks like you did 10 years ago?
The Seahawks? Oh, man, I stay hating the Hawks, man. I don't hate it. You know, I never really respected them because they pulled a lot of hijinks up there in the stadium, man. And plus, when they folded my boy over and tore both of his ACLs, and as he was being carted off, they threw hot dogs and coffee on him and shit. Their fans are chumps, dude. Their fans are sorry. The front one.
Nick and Berkeley.
I'm excited here.
Hey, no, I'm not mad at him. Let's go to Willa Marin. Willa Marin, what's happening, buddy? I know he's fired up for this week.
Yeah, I am, man. I just wanted to do a little message about the self-awareness and bullying real quick, about judging a book by its cover. I have one of my best friends in life. I didn't know was going to be my best friend because in the 7th grade I got teamed up to do a science project. I was into sports. He was into books. We couldn't have been the most opposite. However, had I had not opened up, my option to learn from him, I would have never learned the things that I learned, and I would have never met such an awesome person. So I just want to tell people that judge, don't ever judge a book by its cover. You never know who you're going to meet. It doesn't matter the shape, the size, their color, their age, their ethnicity, their gender, whatever. Don't listen to people first. Like learn who someone is before you judge who they are on the outside. Because still to this day, he is still one of my best friends, and I couldn't be any happier. And to kind of segue into that, judging another book by its cover for Brock Purdy, we got to stop judging him. I know that he's not this flashy, player or anything like that, but I mean, the Niners, you could have Trevor Lawrence. You could be in this limbo where you're going through O'Donnell and you could be going through the quarterback issue with the Raiders, like just all those, you could have all these issues. You literally have a guy that has a injured offense and he's getting the job done. And I'm not going to be surprised if he goes and takes care of Seattle, because one thing that Brock Purdy is he's not afraid to make plays. He's not afraid to extend plays. And if anything, he's much more than a field general. I think Brock Purdy's going to get it done. So shout out to Purdy and the Niners. I think they're going to get it done. And remember, don't judge a book by its cover and allow yourself to learn from others, because you never know the opportunities and the things that you can miss in life. You guys have a great weekend.
You too. Well said, buddy. Well said. Brock Purdy, after 9 games this year, as you mentioned, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. After 9 games in 2023, 15 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions. And remember, they were healthy last year. Very healthy. McCaffrey, healthy. Deebo, for the most part, healthy until the 3-game losing streak. George Kittle was healthy. He's always nicked up, but for the most he played. 1,000 yards receiving. Brandon Ayuk, monster season for the 49ers. It's not a big drop-off when you consider what's happened this season. With Jawan Jennings missing a couple games, Ricky Pearsall, that whole situation, Debo's up and down season due to staying on the field and off the field due to injuries, Brandon Ayuk not being in shape in the holdout and training camp, and of course Christian McCaffrey making a season debut last week in Tampa. That's not bad. That's not bad at all for Brock Purdy.
No, and again, I'm not saying that he is the worst quarterback or anything like that. No, I'm not saying that at all. I still think he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I just think he was playing like a top 5 at most points last season, and I don't know with his level of play currently if that's going to be good enough for where this team wants to go. Now, we got to monitor it. Now, Christian McCaffrey coming back, we're going to see, right? Because that changes everything. If Mahomes had Christian McCaffrey, if Tom Brady had, like, he is such a dynamic. He was the offensive player of the year last year. Like, that's going to open up things not only in the run game, but specifically we saw last week. It wasn't even the running game. It was the passing game. Changed everything. Once you just dump the ball off to him, let him do what he wants to do. And Greg Cosell, our 95.7 The Game NFL insider, breaks down film better than anyone outside Brian Baldinger. I mean, we got the two best in the biz here, right? 95.7 The Game. Joined Willard and Dibbs, courtesy of the River Islands guest line, and he was saying, yeah, he looked like Christian McCaffrey.
Well, let's hear it.
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Well, they used him the way they always used him. Nothing was different. He looked good, I thought, despite the yardage totals. I thought that he looked crisp. He moved well. I thought he had some burst. And again, you saw the motions, you saw the shifting. You know, this is what they do with him. And you saw that with he and Samuel, things are different. And, you know, we talked about this, that it expands their shifting and motion offense. It expands their options in the pass game. I mean, you're not going to run the route when McCaffrey caught the 30-yard reception in the fourth quarter, which was an unbelievable play in all respects. But, you know, you're not going to see that with Garendo or Mason. So, you know, right there, you're seeing something that is different because McCaffrey's on the field.
That's Greg Cosell. Look like Christian McCaffrey.
The key is he going to look like Christian McCaffrey next week?
Week in and week out.
That's the thing you got to monitor because as we've known about this bilateral Achilles tendonitis that he's dealing with, it could be a ticking time bomb.
It could be. It could be. But until that happens,
you just got to keep using them.
Until that happens, you see the impact he's already made.
Yeah. You okay? You a little winded after that? That was some legit cardio you just did. Are you being ready to interview yet or what, dude?
Endurance is a problem right now. In more ways than one.
You're going to be breathing heavy into the mic this whole time. Have you ever had that, by the way, if you're late to, and we'll get to Dick Van here in a second. Have you ever been late, like, and you had to run to the microphone and you're legit out of breath? It's so hard. It's so hard. Within the first 2 minutes, let's hear what Kyle Shanahan had to say through the window today.
You know, 408. I don't know what was worse, this or Bonta dancing post game.
I thought you guys were fine.
Did you like the dances?
I did.
With the
traditional
Cameroonians? Cool. They were good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, hold on 1 second. Spadoni, it's time. It's time to go behind enemy lines.
Oh, my God. Underrated movie, by the way, with Owen Wilson behind enemy lines. Gene Hackman.
By the way, Marcus and Richmond probably texted us 510. Bonte's not going for 15 minutes if you know what Marcus and Richmond means. I mean, Marcus Richmond said all you need is 11 minutes.
You know, as I've gotten older, I don't think he's wrong.
I don't think he's wrong either. One guy who's always wrong. He's always wrong. And I was on their show yesterday. The Softy and Dick show. KJR up in Seattle. It's the best show, possibly on the West Coast. I'm not going to lie. Those guys are good. I'll say that now. Wait, Dick's on the line. Hey, Dick, you guys suck up there in Seattle. Good morning to you. As we welcome in Dick Fan on the River Islands guest line on 95.7 The Game. All guests appear on the River Islands guest line. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands, River Islands, and Lathrop? Dick, meet Joe Spadoni. He's in for Joe Shasky, the Butcher Boy.
Joey, what's up, man? How are you? I got a brother named Joey, so I love all Joeys.
There you go. Joey, see, that's a brother. Joe, like, he could call me Joey, but if like Bonta tried to call me Joey, I'm not feeling that.
Yeah, we don't really get along. I work with a Raider fan right now, man. He's a diehard Raider fan, and he's like,
how do you even bring that up?
Like I'm bringing it up because he brings all the truth to like, as I'm trying to be a homer, Dick, to the 49ers and the Warriors, he has to come rein in my parade and be objective.
Well, Dick, the Niners fans don't know how good they've had it over the years. They're spoiled, and they're 5-4 right now, and the sky's falling, and Brock Purdy, oh my God, they don't know how good they have it.
Well, we have a lot of sympathizers with the Raiders up in the Pacific Northwest because there's a lot of Gardner Minshew fans. I mean, every Cougar thinks Gardner Minshew walks on water, and every Husky, likes him too because we just kicked his ass in the Apple Cup in the snow. So, I mean, there's no hate towards Gardner Minshew. I mean, I'm with the Raiders. I can pull with you.
He stinks, by the way.
There you go.
Go ahead.
There you go. It's not right. What about Gino? Do they feel the same way about Gino right now, Dick?
No. I think there's still some. I think there's still some stragglers out there with Geno, but really, my opinion on Geno hasn't wavered too much. I mean, Geno Smith is what he is. He is the 12th to 16th best starting quarterback in the NFL, and sometimes he looks closer to the 20th. Sometimes he looks closer to the 8th. But that's what the 12th to 16th best quarterback in the NFL looks like, right? He doesn't always look like a mediocre quarterback. Anytime you have something that's average, sometimes they look great, like he did against Atlanta, absolutely shredding the Falcons. And it seems like every time Geno goes into a dome, whether it's Atlanta, Detroit, New Orleans, go look at those three cities. Geno puts up like 75% completion percentage and about a 130 passer rating every single time. The problem is we don't play in a dome anymore. I mean, if we played in the Kingdom, maybe Geno would be the best quarterback in the NFL, but we don't play in a dome anymore. And he comes home, and all of a sudden, I mean, the Seahawks can't win. The Seahawks lost 4 games in 27 days at Lumen Field.
Wow.
4 games in 27 days. I had to go back and look at how many days it's been since the Huskies lost 4 games at home. It was over 1,000 days that the Huskies lost at home. It was 4 times. It was 27 days and 4 losses for the Seahawks. And Geno Smith was a major reason for that in a couple of those games.
Well, is the Kings? Hold on, real quick. Yeah. Is the Kingdom still around? Or you guys blew that place up?
Oh, we blew it up. The Kingdom, Lumen Field sits there where the Kingdom is.
Oh, really?
The exact same burial ground that the Kingdom was built on.
I had no idea. Wow.
That home run from Mark McGuire still traveling over through Seattle.
Yeah, that's right. Off of Randy Johnson.
That's right.
You better believe
it. You guys had Mike Holmgren on your station, Dick. Was it on your show, by the way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He comes on all the shows, but yes, he was on our show yesterday.
And he said that he thinks Geno Smith is going to get a new contract from the Seahawks. Would you be surprised by that?
Boy, if it's something in the range of what we saw this last time, which was, it was reported as, something bigger than it actually was. It was really $25 million a year. If he gets just the inflationary raise upon $25 million a year for a couple of seasons, I don't think that is anything that's going to break the bank, and at least makes you competitive at the quarterback position if you have no other answer. And right now they really have no other answer unless you think, Sam Howell is going to magically be better than Geno Smith. He certainly wasn't in training camp. So I think that's really up in the air right now. What I would do if I was the Seahawks, I would play Geno next year under the final year of his deal, similar to what the Cowboys did with Dak Prescott, right? I mean, or look like they were going to do with Dak Prescott. Play him under the last year of his deal, draft the quarterback, get your succession plan, and have Geno Smith teach that guy as he has a year, kind of like what Atlanta's doing with Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix. Now, I think Penix should play next year and not wait 2 or 3 years to play in Atlanta, but that would be the ideal scenario. That way you're not breaking the bank in the future, and you've given a year to a guy, so you're not just throwing a rookie out to the wolves with what should be a pretty good team by the time 2026 comes around.
Talking to Dick Fan here on the Morning Roast, 96.9 KGR radio host up in Seattle. And Dick, I think you've said it on this show. I don't know if you said it multiple times, but you've definitely said in the past that you're hoping that the 49ers make Brock Purdy the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Are you still thinking that? Are you still hoping they do that? Break off that chunk for him?
I saw a number. I saw a number with our friend Michael Giannitti of Spotrac the other day, which said $62.5 million average annual value. And Like literally, like Christmas came early for me, guys. and that's not to say that Brock Purdy is not a good quarterback. He's a better quarterback than Geno Smith, not a massively better quarterback than Geno Smith. He's in that next tier above Geno Smith, but he's certainly not in that tier of the 5 or 6 quarterbacks that we all know that are in tier number 1. And those, in my opinion, are the only quarterbacks that should be paid that type of money. The Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens, the Joe Burrows, the Patrick Mahomes, those are the guys that should be paid that type of money because they are transcendent quarterbacks. They are quarterbacks that can win you football games. Brock Purdy and Geno Smith can win football games, but they can't win you football games if everything else is crumbling around them. Patrick Mahomes, as we've seen on multiple occasions, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, everything can be crumbling around them, and they find ways to win football games and win playoff games. Brock Purdy and Geno Smith are not that, even though I will give Brock Purdy the edge over Geno.
Yeah, a big edge, Dick. A big edge because...
But not a big enough edge to pay him $62 million a year, bro.
It is what it is, the money, and we'll see how that plays out here. But Brock Purdy's been pretty damn good. Fourth quarter special last week as well against Tampa Bay. But I want to ask you about the head coach who came over from the Baltimore Ravens. I expected a lot more from the defense. Obviously, you guys don't have the same pieces as Baltimore. But how would you, if you had to give Mike Macdonald a grade, what would that grade be so far for his first season with the Seattle Seahawks?
Straight up C. It is just, I'm giving him time. Our guy Hugh Millen, who's our NFL expert on the station, he continually points out what Mike Macdonald did in his first half of his first year with Baltimore. And then his second half of the first year with Baltimore, and it was night and day. I mean, they were right around 20th in yards allowed, points allowed after his first 8-9 games with Baltimore. Second half of the season, they were the number 1 defense in the NFL. So we started to see that. What I'm really interested to see, I'm interested to see how the Seahawks defense plays on Sunday more than I am the Seahawks offense, because I want to answer the question, did the Seahawks truly take a step on defense their last game against the Rams, where they looked really good? Mm-hmm. I mean, they held the Rams to 17 points. They looked really good after getting embarrassed by Buffalo. They turned it around and looked excellent on defense against the Rams. Now, the 49ers present a tougher offensive problem than the Rams do, but if they can look as good as they did against the Rams and maybe hold the 49ers in that mid-20s range, I've got some hope that this defense might be turning the corner, and at least it gives the Seahawks offense a chance to win the game. I don't think the Seahawks win the game, but if the defense can hold them around 24-27, at least you're going to have a chance at the end of the game to pull off a victory.
When you look at this 49ers team, Dick, who do you circle out? I know it might not be Brock Purdy, but who is on this team right now, offensively, defensively, that you're most concerned about heading into this matchup Sunday at Levi's?
I'm actually going to say, defensively, and I don't even know if he's playing. You can tell me, Nick Bosa. I mean, the Seahawks tackles, we've got Abe Lucas hopefully coming back on the right side for the first time, but he's not going to be 100%. He's going to be a rusty right tackle. There's no question about that. Charles Cross on the left side has not been as advertised, but he's still in a better than average left tackle. The middle of that offensive line has been an absolute disaster this season. Both guard spots and the center spot have been a disaster. I'm sure you've seen on SportsCenter, how many times Connor Williams snaps the ball over Geno Smith's head. It's become like a weekly occurrence. But Connor Williams, I don't think is playing this week. Looks like he's going to be banged up, so that might be a blessing for the Seahawks. But Nick Bosa on the defensive end, if he's playing. And then George Kittle just finds his way into the Seahawks secondary every single time they play. Even in the LOB era, man, George Kittle would take on Cam Chancellor and give him problems. So, I mean, that is a nightmare matchup. It always has been for the Seahawks.
You know what? You mentioned Nick Bosa, and he dominated that Thursday night game, set the tone on the first 3 plays of the game against the run and the pass. And we were begging for Nick Bosa to kind of step up here as the highest paid defensive player of football. So you're right about that. Deommodore Lenoir now at corner. And Travis Ward will not play. And he's had some success against DK Metcalf. Now, from what I'm hearing up there, Dick, DK is going to play this Sunday, right?
Yes, and I believe, didn't Ward miss the last game against the Seahawks?
He played. Did he miss the last game Thursday night?
Oh, he was a late scratch.
He was a late scratch. He was a late scratch on game day. You're exactly right. Renardo Green Renardo Green was playing, the rookie out of Florida State. He had that pick against DK Metcalf on the over route when Seattle was trying to make a comeback down 23-17. You're right about that. So just DK, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett. I don't know. Maybe it's the quarterback, Dick, but I did have high expectations for this trio because I think Jackson Smith and Jigba could be a superstar in this league. What about this receiver core, as well as Noah Fant, who I don't think is going to play this Sunday?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to either. JSN is going to be a star in this league, and he's starting to break out now. He's one of those dynasty fantasy league guys. You got to trade for him this year because he's going to end up being a number one wide receiver in this league. He's very, very good. I think the problems with the offense are twofold. One, the offensive line, and two, the play calling by Ryan Grubb. I mean, Ryan Grubb came from a Washington Husky offense that had the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line for best in the country, and Michael Penix with Rome Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan.
Yep.
I mean, and a pretty darn good running back in Dylan Johnson. Mm-hmm. So what would he do? He'd play action. He'd drop Michael Penix back. Penix could sit back in the pocket for 5 seconds all day long and wait for those receivers to develop downfield, those routes to develop downfield, and then he threw with the greatest accuracy maybe of anybody in college football, not named Jalen Daniels, and maybe he was even better than Jaden Daniels last year. Some would say he was. And yet he's trying to bring some of that offense here. They can't get the run game going because of the offensive line. Ken Walker's an excellent back. They haven't been able to get him on track. And then Geno Smith just holds the ball way too long. The offensive line, and Hugh broke this down for us, the offensive line, when they block the first 2.5 seconds, they're actually kind of middle of the road in pass protection. But when they have to hold their blocks more than 2.5 seconds, they're the worst in the league. And Geno Smith is part of the reason for that because the plays are late developing. Geno does not like to get the ball out of his hands quickly. Watch that on Sunday. Is Geno Smith zipping the ball around quickly, or are you seeing deep developing routes? If you're seeing deep developing routes on 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, it's going to be a long day for the Seahawk offense.
Talking to Dick Fan here, 96.9 KGR Radio in Seattle. One more for you, Dick, real quick. How do you see this NFC West shaking out here? Cardinals, are they for real? The Rams just had an ugly loss at home against the Dolphins. Niners, I think a lot of people are still expecting them to break out of this funk with Christian McCaffrey coming back now. But how do you see this whole thing shaking out in the NFC West?
I do see the Niners breaking out. I think they're the best team. I'll reserve judgment. I've seen the Rams a lot more than I've seen the Cardinals, so I'll reserve judgment a little bit on the Cardinals. The Seahawks played them 2 of the next 3 weeks, so I'll get a really good beat on what the Cardinals look like by the end of this month. The Rams don't impress me much. They really don't. They didn't impress me against the Seahawks a couple weeks ago, even though they won up here. They certainly didn't impress me against the Miami Dolphins on Monday Night Football. So I think the Rams and the Seahawks are battling for 3rd and 4th. And I think eventually San Francisco will pull away from Arizona. But you got to get that engine revved up, right? At some point, the Niners have to get the engine started, and this would be a perfect opportunity against a rival in Seattle that has never beaten them with Geno Smith as the quarterback, and he knows that. He was asked that yesterday. There's a big article written by Greg Bell in the Tacoma News Tribune how Geno Smith understands he has got a big goose egg in his career in the win column against San Francisco, and he's going to try to change that on Sunday. I don't know if he can. I mean, he's got the talent to,
right?
But I don't know if he has the it factor too. That's the thing lacking with Geno Smith, and also the help around him. He's got to get that run game going, which doesn't have anything to do with him. So he needs help from that offensive line.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to that wild card game when it was 20-17, or was it 23-17, where the Niners forced a fumble late third quarter, and the game just kind of snowballed for. But he was playing well up until that point, Geno. So
remember, Seahawks were up at halftime.
17-16.
Yeah, they were ahead at halftime. I was like, holy crap, what's going on here?
Yeah, no, we were shook at Levi Stadium. That's for sure.
I got that field goal right there at the half.
Yep.
Penalty.
We were shook. We were shook. Don't tell Softy that. By the way, what's Softy doing right now? Should have made him call in knowing that Butcher wasn't in. I know they have some beef.
He's got a long day. You know, we got college football tonight here. So we got UCLA tonight at 6:00 on Fox. So I'm going to be doing they got me working anyway. I'll be doing the 12 to 2 show, and then Softy comes on at 2 and for the pregame show leading up to kickoff.
And you guys had the Kraken last night as well, right? They work you guys. They work the hell out of you.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, my job at the Kraken last night was to sit in the suite and drink Tito's and with a client. It was heavy. It was heavy lifting.
Wow.
You know, it was hard for me. I'm a little sore after it this morning, but I think I'll get over it.
Hey, Dick, is the entire state of Washington rooting against Alabama football? because what Kalen DeBoer leaving you guys and going over there?
Yes, with one notable exception. If we get Kalen DeBoer against Dan Lanning again, we are all buying Crimson Tide jerseys.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love
How's real quick, and now you got me going here because we're even though our college football teams stink down here and it's not that big as it once was with Stanford and Cal or whatnot, but we're huge. They were fun for a second. Stanford was fun for a second, but I'm a huge college football fan. I try to go to one bowl game every single year, and last year was the Rose Bowl with Michigan and Bama. How are Husky fans adapting to the Big Ten? Because I think it's a cool concept, but I do miss the old school Pac-10 West Coast football. How are you guys adapting to Big Ten football, the culture in the Big Ten?
You know, it's hard. I think what's hurting the Huskies is just their lines of scrimmage. Unfortunately for the Dogs, their weaknesses are on both lines of scrimmage. They got plenty of skill guys, right? They got West Coast skill guys coming out the kazoo, but they've got a tough time handling Big Ten running attacks on the defensive line, and they're having a tough time, even with a really good running back in Jonah Coleman, they're having a tough time establishing the run on the offensive line against the Penn States of the world. Now, they were able to beat Michigan. That was a big win this year. That was cool. They were able to beat USC, an old Pac-12 rival. So, today's a big game. This makes them bowl eligible if they win today. I think they get it done against UCLA because they've been very good at home. In fact, they haven't lost. How about this, guys? The Huskies have not lost at home since Jimmy Lake was the head coach.
Damn.
Kalen DeBoer never lost at home, and Jed Fish has never lost at home. They're going for 20 straight home wins tonight against UCLA.
I got to visit that place. That's a tough place to play. It always has been, man. Right there on the lake, man. It's a lot of fun. All right, man. You're a lot better than Softy. Tell Softy he sucks, and, you carry the show. We know who is the straw that stirs that drink up there, KJR in Seattle. It's Dick Fan, baby. Hey, thanks for always coming on with us, Dick. We appreciate it.
All right. No problem. Anytime, guys. We'll see you.
All right, man. Dick Fan, KJR Radio in Seattle, 96.9.
Big Dick Fan guy.
Yeah. You just couldn't help yourself.
I just said I enjoy his work.
You just couldn't help yourself.
Stop. Get your mind out of the gutter.
You couldn't help yourself.